Welcome to the third episode of SAAS VR podcast series. Thanks for your support. Our podcast is being listened in over 12 countries.
Great to be back with another episode of us. In the last two episodes, we discussed what VR means to you and its genesis and evolution. In this episode, we discuss the potential and role played by VR in the hospitality industry. Instead of us discussing the merits and demerits, we thought it's better to have someone who is on the ground working to make a change in the hospitality industry with VR. In our episode today, we have Tracy Cosgrove joining us from Netherlands, who is the founder of VRHTI, a startup focused into providing virtual reality-based training for the hospitality industry. Our founder Srinivasan discussed with Tracy about the various different initiatives and vision for the industry. Let's join the conversation. Also, in the middle of the episode, watch out for an interesting announcement about one of the premier startup event and award ceremony happening on 29th of December, hosted by industry leading body FICCI and India's leading news outlet, the New Indian Express.
Hi, Tracy. Thanks for being a part of the episode today. Sriram, just give a brief intro about yourself. We would love to hear from you more on what you do.
Yeah, I'm Tracy Cosgrove, the founder of VRHTI, which is a virtual reality hospitality training company. We're normally based in Myanmar, but at the moment I'm in the Netherlands and have been here for about 18 months now.
Wonderful. Given your length and breadth of the experience and the kind of expertise that you have, I'm sure our listeners will be able to get a lot of insights and ideas about your role in shaping the hospitality industry with VR. So I believe you're not someone who have been into the hospitality industry just for the sake of VR. You've been in the hospitality industry prior to that as well.
We would love to hear from you more on how you started your journey in the hospitality industry and with VR as well.
Yeah, so I was working in Myanmar as a hospitality trainer, working with lots of hotels for the pre-opening of the hotels and for the soft skills for the workers. And then I was traveling between Myanmar, Thailand, India, Nepal, the UK and the Netherlands. And I was thinking, gosh, how can I stop traveling so much? Especially because so many people, I'd have hotels opening and they would sometimes be waiting 2 years for me to get round to them to working with their associates. And then I was invited to India to actually pick up an award for being a pioneer as such. And whilst I was there, I was giving some training for a group of hotels in India. And whilst I was actually in the lobby of one of the hotels, a lovely Indian man spoke to me and he said, "Oh, you're English. Can you try this VR headset on and tell me what you think?" Well, I'm telling you, my children are 30 and 31, and I'd never wore a headset. I'd never picked up a Game Boy. I'd never done anything technical. And all of a sudden I had the headset on and I failed miserably for what he was doing. And it was actually fire extinguisher training, which I know and I teach. But the reason I failed was because already as soon as I put the headset on and saw this, I was thinking, this is a way of me creating virtual reality training for the industry and I won't have to travel as much. So that it was actually in Mumbai that I had my aha moment, but I didn't have a clue how I was going to continue with this thought process. So I took the headset off. This is all going through my head as it's happening. I put the headset back on again. And then I passed with flying colors because I had to prove that I actually knew what I was doing. So that was my aha moment, was in Mumbai.
That's really very wonderful to hear. Being someone from India and how small the world is, wherein, you've got your aha moment from India, and we are so very thankful to that. And how was your journey, since you said that you're not so technically well-versed with these devices? How was your journey with respect to developing and being a part of a service provider within that particular domain? How was that journey?
Yeah, so it wasn't easy, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. So on the way back to Myanmar, I purchased a 360 camera. So I purchased a 360 camera and I purchased a headset, just an Oculus Go. And I got back to Myanmar and I said, this is what I want to do, but I had no idea. So I then had to start looking to see if anybody, when I was talking about my vision, was there anybody who understood my vision? That was the first point. I can tell you, nobody understood my vision at all. And especially because I was coming from the training side and I didn't know the technical side, I couldn't even express in words what I wanted. So it was like I just didn't understand the terminology. I didn't understand anything. I just knew this is what I wanted, but I didn't know how to get it. So Google became my friend. And I was Googling everything. And I started on LinkedIn and I started contacting people who it said VR in there. And I just started speaking to people. And then I applied to become part of WAI, which is Women in Artificial Intelligence. So I applied to join them and explain to them about my virtual hotel and what I wanted to do. And I explained that I wasn't technical. And the deadline for the accelerator had already passed. But within half an hour of me submitting the application, I received a phone call in Myanmar to say, wow, we love your passion and we love what you wrote. We understand you're not technical, but we promise we're going to help you get you where you want to be, because we think this is a fantastic opportunity to have somebody who's from the industry who can visualize how they want it. Because often you don't have that connection. You either have a person who has the technical ability, but actually the two are not connected. So what the technical person is looking at is that the aspect flow, whereas for me, I'm looking at the whole picture. So that was my start. And then I'm very proud of myself now that I'm actually, I'm able to create everything myself and also work on the artificial intelligence side. And I learned how to code, how to create virtual reality aspects. I shocked myself that, at 55, you're able to all of a sudden know this whole new world, and I'm constantly learning. And if I don't know something, I ask whoever, and I will get the answer that I need.
Wow, that's tremendous. To all the young technical newbies and all those youngsters who feel that they don't have anything or they are yet to learn something, you are a resounding example as to how self-resilience and self-learning can take you places. And you are a starting example of that. Thanks a lot for establishing all of that and giving us all a better example of how exactly you're supposed to conduct with respect to self-resilience and self-learning. So coming to the next point, how or why do you think VR will transform the hospitality industry?
Well, as you're probably aware, there's a massive turnover in the hospitality industry. And with COVID, this hasn't helped. lots of people have now left the industry because they realized there was two different parts of the industry. Many of the hotels, especially in India, the ones who I've been working with, did keep on their staff. They kept the staff. Many countries, they didn't do that. They just closed the hotel, said, we've got no money, and they didn't keep the staff if the government weren't helping. So at the moment, there's a massive shift in people wanting to work in the hospitality industry. We have to be able to show them what a fantastic industry this is. And however, even if you are working in hospitality, this can create, you're a human being. You have life skills, you have transferable skills. All of these things can be transferred to different applications. You can go into lots of different jobs. And you think of hospitality, you don't just think of somebody who cleans a room, somebody who checks you in, somebody who serves you a drink. You have all the back end as well. You have the accountancy. You have so many different factors. And I think with virtual reality, you're able to step into the shoes of many of these different positions. And especially in Myanmar, what used to happen was a hotel would open, and say, for instance, in the village area where they're opening the hotel, people would just go to the hotel and say, I want a job. They'd be given a job. But the understanding of, okay, you're going to work in HK, housekeeping. The people who then accepted the job didn't even understand what housekeeping was because they'd never visited a hotel before. Or if they had visited, it certainly wouldn't have been them staying in a 5-star hotel. So by virtual reality, you're actually able to show them, to showcase not just the hotel, but showcase them what job they would be doing. And you can create scenarios as to which is the best type of job for that person to be doing. So it's for onboarding, it's extremely important. It's very cost effective if you do the scenarios correctly. And luckily, because it's been been my career, I'm able to do them correctly.
That's some thoughts on what exactly is we are going to do with the hospitality industry. So from what you said, I'm able to take that we are able to give a better exposure to all of those who are unexposed to these kind of scenarios and situations. And they are able to simulate and recreate all the other working types and how exactly is that they are going to handle the guests and they are going to carry out with their day-to-day activities.
Yeah. One of the main things that I really believe in is that, if you have an angry guest, believe me, there are lots of angry guests. If you put somebody in a position that they have to respond, you have to give them the correct training for this. And they will never be 100% prepared. But in virtual reality, they can have 10 different types of angry guests and they can recover from their mistake. So even if they responded incorrectly the first time, which got the guest angrier, actually further down the line, depending on their response, the guest can still be happy at the end. So it's to show you can recover just from responding, that people can learn and they can not have this fear of just feeling that they've done something wrong. And it's to show we're human and that we can recover from our actions and our words.
That's really wonderful. So to comprehend it, instead of all of us and all the other end of the technology wherein people are worried about automation taking over the jobs, here we have a beautiful scenario wherein we could use AI and virtual reality together, wherein that's going to enable and ease the use case of both the employees, guests, and the managements who are taking care of all these initiatives.
Yeah, and the AI side of it will become very important. But remembering the human factor is the most important. But with AI, it will ease it along the way. But it definitely is a fantastic way for people. And especially we're talking about different cultures as well. You know, again, with training, something that you could be training something for 120 hours. Can you imagine the cost involved in that? Whereas they can do this scenario, and even 1 3-minute scenario, you will have 75 scenes. So you're filming 75 scenes to make sure that they can recover. And at the end of the day, I want a positive aspect of this. And even if at the end of it, they walk away and there's a happy guest, maybe they only got 7 out of 10. Instead of they thought, oh, the guest is happy, we got 10 out of 10. Well, actually, maybe they didn't upsell along the way, or maybe they missed something. Maybe they missed one of the reactions. And then they go back and they do it again. And that's when they realize, well, if we looked at it that way, then we would be able to actually get an even happier customer at the end.
Exactly. So in other words, this could complement the skill set of all of those human beings who are put into play here. And both if we have AI, virtual reality, and the skilled workforce, all of them together into this, then probably we will have very less automation, and we could use AI as a tool of enablement for all of the human workforce related activities. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you a startup star? Or know someone who could be? Check out the upcoming Premier Startup event on 29th of December by FICCI and the New Indian Express. In the theme, Sustenance, Excellence, Scaling, and Impact. You can register your startup under various different categories like SaaS, FinTech, Energy, E-commerce, and so on. You can also showcase your startup digitally in the virtual exhibition platform. Check out the link in the episode notes to nominate for the awards and also register for the virtual exhibition. Registrations close on the 1st of December, 2021.
To the next part. So how effective you think is the training in VR compared to the conventional training?
Well, it costs less money, and you're able to reach a much wider audience. You know, as I mentioned, many of the hotels might wait a year or 2 years for me to go. With this, they're able to start rolling things out a lot quicker. And even, for instance, if you had like a big wedding or something and you need extra people coming in to support for the workers for the wedding, all you have to do is give them 10 minutes in virtual reality beforehand, so they can also understand what is expected of them, you know, how they should act. And only if they pass at the end, then they get to go on the floor. So there's the upskilling side of it and the personal side of it. You would not be able to do that if it wasn't for virtual reality.
That's wonderful. So it's going to reduce all of the indirect costs related to these training activities.
That's right.
One thing. And another thing, it's going to be more effective as they are confined within a virtual environment.
Yeah.
So is there any possibility we are able to recreate the experience that they will get out of a physical training compared to the virtual one that they will be getting?
Yeah, well, you can recreate anything in training. But to be honest, when you're fully immersed, then you're embodied with that feeling. So there's nothing, and especially with the virtual reality scenarios, you can choose to be the guest or the associate. And I've had people crying when they've realized how they responded. They hadn't realized before until they were standing in the shoes of the person on the opposite side. You could never do that in real life, but you can in VR.
So that strikes me one more point. Out of all the experiences or the demonstrations that you've given for your solution and with virtual reality, is there any particular experience of a person that remains in your head? Something that was so overwhelming for them or something that was so exciting for them? Any particular instance that you could recall?
There's been a lot, but one of them was from a waitress who, when she was giving the order, when she was taking the order, she was slouching, she was itching, she was really, and I actually filmed her doing this. So this was her being filmed doing this. And the other guest was talking to her and she was just ignoring him and just listening to what I was saying. And she just was more or less, she was giving zero hospitality. So within 5 minutes, that was in the headset. And I said, okay, now you can have a look. She was so upset when she saw it. And she said, I had no idea that I did that. She said, can I please do it again? And this was actually for part of training. I shouldn't have let her do it again, but she was so upset. And within a minute, she'd reconciled herself. We did it again, and it was night and day. All of a sudden, and from that day onwards, she just changed her facial expressions, everything. And this is one of the problems that we don't see ourselves on the other side. And in VR, you can also see what the response is. So we can do that. But that was just one of there's so many, there's lots and lots of different cases.
Yeah, that's really interesting how you're able to even self-evaluate yourself with virtual reality and then reassess so that
that's right.
You could become the better version of your own self. That's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. And I didn't even have to say to her what was wrong. Straight away, she saw it and she really, I just said, okay, no problem, we do it again. But this is the perfect thing in VR, because how many times do we think, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't done that. Well, in VR training for hospitality, you can retry it as many times as you like.
Wonderful. So with that, I would like to hear your thought on your vision for VR HTI and the overall virtual reality with hospitality industry.
I would like to see it rolled out in many, many more countries. My passion is Asia, because I've been living there for so long. I would love to work as well with some more hotels in India as soon as it's possible that I can start traveling again. I believe that not just the virtual reality, but the virtual world's an amazing asset. We've had, over the pandemic, I've had many of the different hoteliers in different countries come into the virtual world, and we're sharing problems. We've been sharing problems to do with COVID and how to create solutions. But My aim is that we're able to reach as many hospitality workers as possible with either custom created solutions or off-the-shelf solutions that they can adapt. The way technology is changing at the moment, and the more I'm learning, the more ways I'm also able to create more and more things. So the sky's the limit.
Very well said. Obviously, sky is the limit. And we wish you reach all the sky, and all the other endeavors, let them be successful, and hope we are all able to create a positive impact with virtual reality. And obviously, it's no longer a niche segment or a fancy technology anymore. It's high time virtual reality must pick up momentum and become mainstream. Let us all work together and make virtual reality a grand success. And we wish you in all your endeavors with VR HTI and all your spirit. I'm honestly so motivated hearing your journey on how you picked up VR after the age of 55 and started learning about the technology, designing and developing everything in it. And now we are self-sustaining with your own skills and expertise. That's really fabulous. And we hope and wish you all success in your endeavors with virtual reality and VR HDI.
Thank you, and it was lovely to speak to you.
That was Tracy Cosgrove, the founder of VR HTI, sharing her journey and possibilities with VR in hospitality industry. Please check out grahasvr.com to reach out to us. If you like our show, please give us a 5-star rating. Subscribe to Grahas VR in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite listening platform. Follow our social media handles to stay updated on the future episodes.